Hey guys, Craig Robinson here. Just thought you might like to figure out how in the world did Paul McCartney do the synth sound on Wonderful Christmastime. Well, with my little Korg mini log to the left of me here, which I'll show you in a moment, I will show you the steps that it will take to make the sound. So hopefully this will help you out, and I'll even show you maybe a few chords towards the end of the video, but let's see how to do it. Okay, so I've got the Korg mini log here, and let me kind of reset it back to kind of a factory setting so you can see the steps I took to make the sound. So first thing you want to do is I recommend starting off on the instrument with a really basic sawtooth wave, and I've got one set up right now on oscillator 1. Very bright and buzzy with quite a bit of release, and I'll turn that down here. And so right now I have the sustain all the way up on the amp EG. The decay right now doesn't matter with the sustain all the way up. Attack is pretty quick because you want it almost immediate. So, because you want a little bit of a pluck. There we go. Also, I have the key track turned all the way up because I want it to be a little darker on the low end and brighten up as I play up the keyboard. So I have that on. Also, I use the 4-pole mode because if I remember right, on this song he used a Prophet 5 synthesizer which uses a 4-pole filter. So that's the other thing I recommend doing. Also, to give it a little more richness to the sound, because one oscillator is just not very rich, so I like to add a second oscillator by turning that up. Also set to sawtooth, set exactly the same frequency, maybe slightly out of tune. A little bit of detuning is all you want. That's what I've got. So the next thing you want to do is you want it to give it the little, pow sound. So to do that, we're going to have to turn the cutoff frequency down on the filter, the big knob, and turn up the envelope intensity, or EG intensity, on the filter. So it creates a little sound. And right now I've got the attack immediate, all the way as fast as it'll go. Sustain I've got all the way down, because I like to combination use the envelope generating intensity and the overall cutoff to set my overall filter setting. So for now I've got the decay roughly about 300. I'm going to turn up just a little bit more. And that's a matter of taste, and I recommend between 300 and 400 on the decay, and I recommend setting the release to the same. And I'm going to turn the amp release up a little bit as well to also about 300. I'm going to turn the overall cutoff frequency down. And I find to give it a little more of the wow sound is turn up the resonance a little bit. Now I find that when you turn the resonance up, you do lose some volume, so I compensate by turning up the master a little bit. And you can see we're getting there, but it doesn't, the problem is it doesn't repeat. That's where the LFO comes into play. So to utilize, to make it continually repeat the sound and the filter, I need to set my waveform on the LFO to a sawtooth as well. And right now I have the LFO, and by the way, you have to go to edit mode, and it's the third button, edit mode, third button, while in program edit. And there is an LFO BPM sync, an LFO key sync, and an LFO voice sync. Now know that the BPM sync I have on, the key sync I currently have off, but sometimes you want to have that on. I'll explain in a minute. And I will have the LFO voice sync on. So it's really important that you check these LFO settings in the edit mode. So you have to go there. So I'm, again, BPM sync on, key sync off, voice sync on. Now that I've done that, I'm going to set my rate to quarter notes. And then I'm going to set my tempo. I found here is roughly about 120. Now to hear it, I need to set my target on my LFO to cutoff. So I set that to cutoff, turn the intensity up, the EG mod off, by the way. I need to turn, and actually I need to set the rate a little bit faster, more about eighth notes. And I'm getting there. It's going to take a little bit of work. That's a little bit too fast. I'm going to set the BPM a little. Actually, I think I set it to just a minute. Yeah, actually 1.6 is what I set the LFO rate to. BPM is roughly about 125. Sorry about that. And then what I need to do is adjust the intensity up a little bit. Now the intensity I turn up quite a bit to about 1,000. I need to bring the cutoff frequency of the overall filter up a little bit. Turn down the envelope generator intensity. I need to make it release a little bit longer. So I need to turn up the release time. Actually, a little bit longer on the release. So what I'm doing is I'm now turning the release up on both the filter and the envelope amp EG up to about the 500 to 600, almost a 12 o'clock position. Because I want it to repeat for a certain number of times. Turn the resonance up to taste. Yeah, that's getting a lot closer there. So resonance right now currently is about 348, 350. And by the way, I don't use any of the modulation in the VCO section. And right now I have it on the lowest octave setting in both of my oscillators, and the octave is down one. And that's pretty much about it. Now, something to note, trying to play along with the song, you'll have a tough time because know that the LFO in the original Prophet 5 was free sync, which means it wasn't synced to anything. In fact, more than likely the drummer had to play to the synth sound throughout the song, which is why the synth is going the entire time. So that's why back in edit mode, button number 3, I have the key sync off. And here's why. If I have it on, it'll always re-trigger the LFO to start at the same spot. Which is fine when you're playing it by it's fine when you're playing it by itself. But the trick of the song is in a section of the song, he'll do this, where he'll do like let me just play the song. And then he'll do this. Let's try that again. He'll do this. Actually, I need to turn up the envelope generator intensity in the filter just a little bit more. Because, I don't know if y'all heard what I just did, but I'm going to do it again. Okay, so we've pretty much got it adjusted. I'm going to turn the envelope generator intensity down to about 51%, 52. By the way, if you want it overall a little bit darker, you have to turn down a combination of the main cutoff frequency, the envelope generator intensity, and the intensity in the LFO, because it's actually modulating the cutoff frequency of the filter, and that's what really creates the repeating effect. Now again, if you're playing along with the song, note that you might want to turn the key sync on. However, the trick of where it kind of fights itself goes away because it always re-triggers every time you hit a key. Here's an example. You can see it doesn't work when you try to re-trigger it. So that's why you turn the key sync off. Now, the way the chords work, now that we've got the sound figured out, is very simple. It's a low C with an E minor chord on top for the first one, which is equivalent to like a C major sevenths. And then it goes to a C to an A. And then it goes to a C with a G on top. And then very simply, a C with a C chord on top starting with the low G. So then all together. So that takes care of the verse. So now the chorus is a bit tricky, the way he plays it. And this is from what I understand. The bass is pretty simple. It's the chord on top that's tricky because it's not the same as the bass. So it's D, G, E, A, F, B flat, C. So one more time. D, G, E, A, F, B flat, C. So that is the bass. You may have to rewind that back a few times to get it. Now, the chords on top are weird. The chords, with the D and the bass, you're actually playing an F major chord on tops, which creates that kind of almost like a D minor 7th chord. So it's D with an F major. Then it goes to kind of a diminished chord. It's actually a B diminished. So it's D, F, D with the G on the bottom. So which just creates a G7 chord. Creates that chord. Then you have the E on the bass, but it's a G on top, which creates a kind of an E minor 7th chord. And then it goes to an A with a C on top, and then B flat on the lower, but F, A flat, and C on top. So it's like a B flat over F minor, and then to the C. So all together. And then if you do the crazy rhythm, you kind of syncopated at that point on the rhythm. I'm kind of doing triplets on the top. And then it's simply, and then the walk down is pretty simple. And essentially, it's every other white key, starting with the high E. So you start with the C. Now, the next section is something I still got to figure out, so I'll have to probably come back with the part 2 of the video to be able to show you that section. But hopefully this will give you an idea and how in the world he made that synth sound work. So know that everybody had to follow him. So hopefully that helped you out there, and enjoy this video. Thanks, guys.